Hello and welcome to Fats on Film. I am your host, Hannah Ogilvie-Young, and this is the podcast where we talk about all things fat representation in film, TV, and wider media. This episode, I am joined by TV columnist at New Scientist, Bethan Ackerley. Hello, Bethan!
Hello, it's so lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so great to have you here. We were talking very briefly off mic, but we're both really excited for this episode. But before we get into that, could you talk a little bit more about your role at New Scientist?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the TV columnist at New Scientist, and so I mostly cover sci-fi, which, I don't know about you, but I've kind of not considered the kindest genre to fat people. It is not.
It's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I've the immediate examples that come to mind for me are Baron Harkonnen. Is that his name? Baron Harkonnen in Dune.
And in Dune, yes, terrible representation.
Like that, Jabba the Hutt,
Jabba,
and
yeah.
So I found that they're kind of like two prongs. It's either are no fat people because we as a society have moved beyond the need for fat people or whatever,
yes.
or it's like WALL-E and everyone's fat and this is a bad thing. So yeah, I'm yet to find some really good fat sci-fi representation, at least in film and TV. So if anyone has any recommendations for me, please send them my way.
Send them through to Bethan. Absolutely. We haven't actually covered that much sci-fi on the pod, but I'm a big sci-fi gal. We've literally just watched all of the mainline Star Wars films.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, and there's just very few fat people, or where there are, obviously they were badly, like the character of Rose, so badly ridiculed online for daring to be above a size 10, I guess.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, the representation of Jabba. I love original relaunch of Doctor Who, and that RTD has some issues with fat people for sure.
The whole Slovene thing and
the Slovene. There's the adipose episode in Smith and Jones.
I forgot about that. Oh my god! With that wonderful actress who was in
wonderful actress. Yes,
she's fab, but not a fab episode.
Not a fab episode, but at the same time, those little adipose creatures they created are the cutest fucking things in the world. So,
why would these be the bad guys? They're adorable. I want one of these in my home.
There's definitely a crochet pattern for those things. Definitely.
Amazing.
Well, we've kind of gone down. We've led our listeners down a bit of a garden path because we're not here to talk about sci-fi at all. We are here to talk about Frasier, and I could not be more excited. This is one of my comfort shows. So Frasier is an American sitcom, and it broadcast on NBC for 11 seasons from 1993 to 2004. And the program was created and produced by David Angel, Peter Casey, David Lee, who are the team behind Cheers. Christopher Lloyd then joins the production team from season 2, and he's the guy behind Modern Family, which is there are some connections there. It stars Kelsey Grammer, John Mahoney, David Hyde Pierce, Perry Gilpin, and I did not research. How do you say Jane? Is it Leaves' name?
It's Leaves.
Is it Leaves?
I've got to be honest, I've never questioned it. So
I've never questioned it. Okay, well, apologies, Jane, if this is not how you pronounce your last name, but Jane Leaves. It won 37 primetime Emmys in its 11 seasons, which was a record broken by Game of Thrones. That's how long it took to be broken. So Game of Thrones now have the record at 38 Emmys. It won Best Comedy Series for 5 years straight, which is tied with Modern Family's record. It is highly regarded as one of the best sitcoms of all time, and more importantly and more successfully, one of the most successful spin-offs ever created. And when we're in the land of spin-offs and sequels and requels, I think this is something, back in 93, they nailed it with Frasier, right?
Yeah, it's like the byword for the good spin-off. I think maybe now that's Better Call Saul, but they're the big two.
Yeah, good challenge for sure.
Yeah.
So Bethan, tell me, what is Frasier all about?
So Frasier, as you say, is a spin-off of Cheers, which was a very successful sitcom that ran in the 80s up until exactly 1993 when Frasier started. And it's set in a bar in Boston. The Frasier Crane character in that is a psychiatrist who is kind of brought in to be an obstacle in the romance between Sam and Diane, which are kind of like the principal relationship in that show. I have to confess now that I haven't seen Cheers. I don't know why
Mhm.
I've never gone back and watched Cheers. It's just never really appealed to me. I don't know.
Mhm.
But basically, you know, Frasier gets engaged to Diane. She leaves him at the altar. But they kept him on as a character and they started giving him his own storylines. Like he gets married and he has a son. And basically, all you need to know is that between the end of Cheers and the beginning of Frasier, he gets divorced. He moves back to his hometown of Seattle. And he becomes a radio psychiatrist. So he's helping people with their mental health on the radio. And so at the start of Frasier, he is kind of settled in to this new life. But this all gets interrupted when it becomes clear that his father, Martin, who is John Mahoney, and is a retired cop who was kind of shot on the job during a robbery, he now has physical care needs that are going to mean that he can't live alone. So he and his dog, Eddie, who is the best dog in the land.
The best.
Just as a side note, there is a canonical biography of Moose the dog, who played the first dog who played it, Eddie, in the show, and I have read that. I have it, and it's very precious to me. I love Eddie so much.
Oh my God, I love Eddie too much.
He's the cutest. But yeah, so Martin and Eddie move in with Frasier in this incredible apartment, top tier sitcom apartment, which is a heavy category.
Yes,
but I truly believe the Frasier apartment is the one I personally would like to live in.
Have you seen those drawings of the layouts that you can buy?
Yes, I love them.
You need to get one.
That and obviously Monica's apartment, incredible.
Of course. Yes.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's a tangent. Sorry. Anyway.
No, great. I loved it.
So Martin and Eddie move in with Frasier, and they also get they hire a live-in physical therapist who is a quirky English lady called Daphne Moon, who has the world's least specific northern accent. It's somewhere in the north, but we won't say where. We won't.
Iconic.
She's technically from Manchester, but the accent itself is nebulous.
Yes.
Shall we say?
Yeah.
And then kind of rounding out that kind of group of main characters, there's Niles, who is Frasier's brother and my all-time up there with Ben Wyatt. I think the two of them, my sitcom love.
Stop.
And but they are the best, aren't they?
No, they could. No, I'm gagging over you right now because I could not agree more. My love for Ben Wyatt knows no bounds, but Niles is truly just the men amongst men.
Mm.
I mean, I think David Hyde Pierce is one of the funniest comedy actors ever. And I'm just obsessed with him. I'm obsessed with Niles.
He's incredible. He's a real lover boy. That's what we want. Yeah, as you say, David Hyde Pierce. I think in that you were great with the stats, by the way, and all the Frasier Emmys and everything. I think David Hyde Pierce won 4 Emmys for Frasier for playing the same character.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's because he's an incredible. He's the funniest guy. He's a great physical comedian.
Yeah.
And they're all brilliant, but I think him in particular is just amazing.
Yes, totally agree.
But yeah, he plays Niles, Frasier's brother, who is kind of he's also a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of an even more neurotic version of Frasier. They're both very urbane, intelligent, wealthy guys. But
yes,
Niles is a little less well-adjusted, I would say. And he's got a lot more anxiety around things.
Yeah.
And he's married to a woman who doesn't treat him very well, who I'm sure we're going to discuss
100.
shortly. But yeah, so essentially that's your main 4. There's lots of recurring characters. There's an incredible icon of a woman called Roz, who is Frasier's radio producer, and some other folks as well. But those are your core 4. And it's all kind of about their relationships and Frasier's love life. Mm-hmm. And, this will they, won't they, between Niles and Daphne, because Niles basically instantly becomes infatuated with Daphne.
From episode 1.
Yes.
The groundwork is laid.
They're off to the races with that. And they found people with really good chemistry with each other. So it really, really works, I think.
Yeah, I read that when they were casting for Frasier, they had I guess what must be one of the casting directors found David Hyde Pierce and said, if you need Frasier's brother, I have the right guy.
Absolutely.
And they couldn't have picked a better brother. I love Marty as he's, he quote unquote a straight man in amongst this eccentric family that he's created. And obviously his sons take more from his late wife than they do him. Again, this episode 1, season 1 is so hard because you just see how distant and broken their relationship as father and sons is, but as the show progresses and how much it grows, truly it brings tears to my eyes. It's so well handled, it's so well curated, and it's not like linear either. It goes up and down throughout the whole thing. It's really well handled.
Yeah.
And yeah, Daphne Moon, oh my god, especially those early seasons, Daphne's wardrobe deserves every award going. She looks phenomenal.
She's like such an icon. It's it's that same period of time as like Friends.
Yeah, early Friends.
The clothes in the early seasons of Friends are just absolutely banging. They are stunning. And Daphne, her early clothes are amazing. And so you see like with Friends, you see the transition into like clothes that haven't aged as well.
Yeah,
into the kind
totally.
Of clothing. But yeah, there's like these clothes that she wears at various points in the early seasons.
And she always has like that top knot in her hair.
Yeah, big hair.
Big hair, high ponytail, love. Stun. So, Bethan, I know that you love this show, but like, when did that start? When did you start to watch it? Is this like an early Bethan thing? Like, how did it start?
I would say so. I think like, from what I recall, it was on Channel 4 in the mornings before school. And I would watch it before school, like as I was like eating my breakfast or whatever. And it's got that kind of Simpsons-esque quality to it, where there are jokes that you don't get, but you get the rhythm of the joke, and then eventually it gets filled in. Like I don't know about you, there were episodes of The Simpsons where like I would go eventually and read A Streetcar Named Desire, and then go, oh, it's like the Simpsons,
like The Simpsons, yeah.
Yeah, and I got the same thing with Frasier, where it was like, oh, I was being taught the references before I knew the references, really. And I definitely responded to it because I think it was like, it's not a show that like talks down to you. There are some very silly, stupid jokes in it, but like there's lots of very highbrow jokes in it as well.
Yeah. And
there's just all these different kinds of comedy in it that are all really, really well done. So yeah, I think I started watching it as a kid, and then I think the first time I like sat and actually watched it through properly was probably while I was at uni. And now it's just like a sort of constant background comfort watch, as you say. Like I'm just always like ambient watching it.
100. Yeah, no, totally. Mine's not a dissimilar story because my mum watched it, and so it was on Channel 4, and I think was it on Living TV? Have I made that up? Or maybe, or I might be like getting confused with Will and Grace. And I would watch it with her, but yeah, absolutely not really getting it, but really liking because every episode is set up, miscommunication, calamity ensues, and I love that because it's so ridiculous and funny. And Kelsey Grammer's booming voice, yelling about something was always funny as a child, of course. And then I started watching Modern Family. This is really recently. Started watching Modern Family for the second time all the way through, and I stopped because have you seen Modern Family before I get into
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so whatever, never remember what the mum is called in Modern Family. Claire, thank you, Claire. When Claire's mum comes, and it is Diane from Cheers, and I noticed there's like, random Frasier characters were popping up in Modern Family, so I did a little research and realised it's the same production team. And that's when I started I need to watch Frasier from the beginning to the end, and it's all on Paramount Plus. So I was there, and my God, I was like, this is... I know that I was late to the party, but genuinely is the best sitcom ever made. I was crying with laughter since I've watched it like 2 or 3 times all the way through, and it's just held it's become one of those comfort shows like Friends, like Parks and Rec, like The Office for me, which I just go back to because it's just so warm and hilarious, and those characters that you so perfectly framed at the very beginning are just so inviting. And you want to learn more about them, you want to see where their stories are going, and it's just it really is the best show.
Yeah, I really adore it, and I think that makes the fat representation in it like all the worse, because it's such an anomaly within the show. It's not the only one, because there are also there are other dodgy storylines to do with race and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, like I love it so much. I think it is in general such a well-crafted show with such talented people, with such amazing writing, and like it's really, and on those aspects it's really, really held up really, really well.
Yeah, no, totally. So, we are here to talk about the fat representation. So we're going to critique it, right?
Mhm.
But, it's something that we love, and this is how we know that we've evolved since treating fat people like how they do in Frasier. Well, I don't know, maybe in some ways and maybe not so in some other ways. But when I was doing that first watch through, and I don't know what season it is, Bethan, so maybe you do. But it is in the kind of storyline, Niles and Daphne have got together.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yes, no, you're right.
Yes, it is right. And all of a sudden, Daphne, in the storyline, Daphne is starting to gain weight, and quite rapidly in the scope of the show. And we see that characters are passing comment. We're seeing that Daphne's clothes aren't fitting. We're seeing that Niles keeps bringing her more and more like chocolates and fudges and stuff like that. And it kind of culminates in this awful scene where Daphne has fallen over and twisted her ankle and can't get herself back up again, and Niles has to help, but he can't get her up either. So then Fraiser and Marty have to come in, and it took 3 cranes to lift you.
Yeah. It's a build to like the cheapest joke imaginable.
The cheapest joke. And that's when they decide that Daphne needs to go to a fat weight loss camp in order to get a control over this, and maybe even deep dive into why she may have gained all this weight. But this is actually all a cover story, because the actress Jane Leeves in real life was pregnant, and so they just made her fat in the show. And yeah, when I watched the storyline play out, Bethan, I was just like, oh, we were doing so well. And now all of a sudden, I feel like a lot of that goodwill got lost in this one storyline. I mean, what are your thoughts and feelings? What comes to mind when you remember this storyline?
Yeah, I think so. As a kid, when I was watching it, as is the way often with sitcoms, you don't watch them in order. You're watching like random episodes, like in out of order. You've got no idea of the timeline of anything, particularly when it's like a rerun of like an American sitcom. So I think as a kid, probably that and the fact that I just didn't have that developed bit of my brain and that like more cogent thoughts about fatness and body ideals in society. I don't think I really registered it at the time. It was only when probably not even when I rewatched it when I was a student.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's probably only like now in the past like 5 or 7 years, say, that I've really processed how fucked up that storyline is.
Yeah,
it's really horrible, and the thing I really like about Frasier in general is that it's really joke dense. And so you've got joke all the way through it. And this is like the dark side of that coin, because you just end up with fat joke in such a small space of time. And as you say, it just sort of comes out of nowhere. The context that you mentioned of like, so finally Niles and Daphne have finally gotten together after like 7 seasons, and there's some personal fallout that they have to work through at the beginning of the 8th season, because Niles has like just married someone else and Daphne has left someone at the altar in order for them to be together. So they have all these storylines based on that, and this storyline kind of coincides, obviously it was to do with the actress's pregnancy, but it coincides with this point where they just had a sort of vacuum in the show where the will they won't they was gone, and that was such a huge part of the show, and they fill it with this horrible storyline. And they start, as you say, they start dressing Daphne in clothes that are designed to hide the pregnancy.
Yeah.
And they are like not like anything she's worn before, really.
No.
And they're not bad because they're baggy, but they're baggy because they're trying to hide the fact that she's not gained weight as like a person who was just gaining weight would in kind of distribution on her body. It's obviously like still a very thin woman who's maybe gained a tiny bit of weight in her face and obviously has a baby bump. So she starts dressing completely unlike herself. And I'm like, to caveat all this by saying that I'm going to talk about Daphne being fat. She's not fat in the storyline at all. At no point is she fat. But that is how the show treats her.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's to look, when I went back and rewatched it for this as research, I couldn't believe how bad the storyline was, because obviously this is now a season that I just avoid because it's not one of the better seasons anyway, and it's got this horrible thing in the middle of it. So to actually go back and watch it and just realise just how cruel some of the jokes are and how unnecessary it all is, given that Daphne, of all the characters being British, is one of the easiest people to just sort of ship out of the show, because you can just say that she's in England. Like, there was no reason for it. Like, there was no reason for it. And also, like, I read that they were keen not to do the thing where, you know, the thing that we've all become conditioned to accept in sitcoms, where they, like, hide someone's bump behind it. But she's just conveniently half stood behind a pillar.
Like in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with
like,
Amy, yeah.
Yeah, like, she's clearly pregnant, but it's fine. We all just go, that's fine.
It's fine, yeah.
For some reason, they didn't want to do that, and it is inexplicable. I have no idea why they chose to do it this way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's part of a pattern in Frasier. I don't know whether you feel the same. Personally, I think there aren't enough fat characters in Frasier to really make a statement about this. But the one proper fat character who's in it is Kenny, who we'll talk about, I think.
Yes.
If you start out fat in Frasier, then you can sort of become a well-rounded character, and it's not really mentioned that much. You're not really, you know, there might be problematic elements of your characterization, but there aren't jokes at your expense. Certainly not because you're fat. If you're thin and you get bigger, then it's a sign that something is emotionally wrong with you. And that happens with Daphne, it happens with Maris, Niles' wife, and it happens with Frasier as well. So there's a storyline where Frasier loses his job, and you see him go through like the 5 stages of grief about the job. And when he's depressed, he gains all this weight, and there's this horrible scene where you see him taking food from a child, as if it's crazy. It's a crazy scene, and it's just a throwaway fat joke that is just really grim. But yeah, I think it's a pattern whereby it's always to do with a person's emotional problems, and once those are resolved, they get thin again.
Yeah.
And that's really clear from the Daphne storyline in particular.
Yeah, 100%. I completely forgot about the Frasier storyline. But yeah, he starts wearing his sweats, doesn't he? And he's ordering pizza. Yeah, he's completely let go. You're right, and I'm pretty sure there is a call-in, like a caller into the radio show, where someone is literally talking about emotional eating, and Frasier mentions about why we emotionally eat. Because I remember I was like, oh, that's a really good moment, because the gag or the joke is the caller is at a drive-through, and you hear the intercom say, "Oh, and do you want fries with that?" or something like that. So
yeah,
that's a completely valid pattern you've identified. But I think for me, when I rewatched this season, it's watching them burn down all the relationships that Daphne has created, because Roz starts saying jokes at Daphne's expense, but the one that gets me the most is Marty.
Yeah.
How Marty treats Daphne for gaining weight is so upsetting, because I think when they go to like an award show in one episode.
Yeah.
And of course, why wouldn't they?
Always at award shows. I don't know about you.
Forever,
all the
time. Always got a gown on. And I can't remember again what the setup is, but Marty looks at Daphne and says something like, "You don't need that extra meal," or something along those lines. I was like, Marty, that is your closest friend in this show. Like, why are you being so cruel? And it's all for the joke, you know?
Yeah, it's open season on her. Yeah. Like, once that happens, like it's a free for all, and they like forget about the characterization of any of it. Like, I think that in general, these are not cruel characters in Frasier, or if they are cruel, they are allowed to row back from it. Like, they're allowed to be like, what I did is wrong. And I think that's in general a really nice aspect of Frasier. It's quite humanistic. It allows people to be forgiven for flaws if they truly own up to something. And that is just completely absent from the storyline. Like, no one, it's never at all challenged that this is a bad attitude to have towards someone. And in the episode where Daphne comes back, there is this gross thing that Frasier does where he buys her like a thing for the fridge. Yeah, the pig. The pig is disgusting. Why would you do that to someone who, considering the previous season, Frasier's paid for Daphne's wedding? Like, he loves this girl. She's an important part of his family even before she gets together with his brother.
Yeah.
They adore this girl, but I don't know whether it's out of character or not, because maybe it's just that, you know, fat people are open game. That's fine.
Yeah.
Is it out of character, or is it that, you know, these things coexist within the same people because they have really prejudiced attitudes? Like, hard to know.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like the scene where the pig, because then Daphne's like, "Thank you," and then she like destroys it in the kitchen.
I was very satisfied when at least she got to destroy it, I think.
At least she got to destroy it. But yeah, so she comes back from fat camp, but obviously it's just she's given birth to baby. Jane leaves has given birth to baby, and I'm sure there's this whole thing about like, oh, I can't eat that, I can't have that anymore. You know, my therapist says like I still need to take things so, and it's just she's not allowed to like just enjoy life. You know, she's under restriction, she's under control, and I think as well. One of the storylines that's happening in amongst Daphne gaining weight is you mentioned about how Niles was married to Mel, and Mel is a crazy woman who doesn't want to be humiliated that her husband has jilted her for, you know, quote unquote, the help. So she's put in this plan that basically Niles and Daphne can't be seen out in public. So not only have we got this woman as framed in the show, is eating because of emotional reasons, is eating because she cannot fulfill the perfect image that Niles has created in his head. She's also not allowed to be seen. She's not allowed to go outside. And you're just like, why can't this woman just live a life? You know, like why can't, and I know like Niles, there's a whole thing about Niles doesn't see the weight gain, and that he's like almost like a feeder because he's the one, you know, plying her with the chocolates and, you know, these, you know, nice meals in the apartments and stuff like that. But it's a really gross kind of framing of why people gain weight, that fat people become reclusives and they're not allowed to be seen. And I know the show doesn't go, she can't be seen because she's fat. But it is an added interesting element that's happening alongside it.
Yeah.
And I do love the episode when Frasier's got the butler, Victor Garber's guest role. And because I love Victor Garber so much.
Yeah, he's really funny in it.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And so when he turns up, I was just like, oh, what a bit of class. And you know, he has his whole connection with Daphne, because obviously Daphne's now with Niles, but she's the quote unquote help. And but then that's the episode where Niles is like defiant against Mel, like, no, me and Daphne are gonna go out. And that's a really great scene in amongst this horrible storyline that we've been exposed to. But then yeah, like 2 or 3 episodes later, she falls and they can't get her up. It's just a really actually potentially looking at something really interesting, which is this idea that Niles has bigged up Daphne over the past 7 years to be this perfect angel of a woman. The only way that apparently Daphne can cope with that is via food, even though in every other season we've never seen her have this adverse relationship with food, you know?
Yeah, like, so I listened to your episode on Friends, and the point that you made about Monica, where, so like prior to the series starting, obviously she was fat as a teenager, as a young adult, and then lost all this weight. So like before the start of the main season, and then we never see her have any issue with food ever again, despite what she would have had to have done, how restrictive she would have had to have been to lose all that weight. So like, I think with Daphne, as you say, like you see her in that episode then have this kind of like restricted element to eating, but then they don't really go back into it again when that storyline is done, and you never see her have a problem ever again.
No, good point.
And I would say the opposite of that would be the Maris character, who is someone who was fat as a child, who then is very, very thin, and there are lots of jokes about her being very, very thin. And clearly there is a lasting impact there. But as you say, like, I think there are 2 interesting things that the show tried to do in that storyline. Like, they acknowledge the idea that a person's relationship with food can sometimes be affected by their what's generally going on with them, like how well they're doing, and that you can have a kind of disordered relationship with eating depending on what's going on with your life.
Yes.
And they also try to do, on like the meta level, quite an interesting thing with the will they won't they, where they actually confront the idea that someone has been projecting onto, particularly a man projecting onto a woman, for a long, long time, and they really spend time digging through that. But in both storylines, fatness gets used as like a vehicle for both of these points in just a really gross way, no matter what their intentions were with that. Like, they're trying to get into some really complex stuff, and fat people just get thrown under the bus in both of those senses in their attempt to do that. And I don't think either of them are done particularly well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's an interesting storyline, just to say the least. It's yeah.
It is a real black mark, in my opinion, on the show, just because it absolutely didn't need to happen, or it could have been handled a lot more sensitively, like you mentioned. They could have totally have explored this idea that, people can lean on food. It is a comfort tool, especially for people who may lack some emotional intelligence, like, and that isn't to be shady. A lot of us don't have emotional intelligence. We're not taught to have emotional intelligence. So food becomes a really easy crutch. But in doing that for Daphne's character, she's just the butt of the joke. Like, the fucking psychiatrists in Frasier and Niles don't deep dive into why maybe Daphne is eating like this. Why is she, like, because she, even in those scenes where she's gaining this weight, her demeanor is very happy and chirpy and jovial. So, if I'm not a psychiatrist, but if I was Frasier, I'd be like, this is like, there's a disconnect here. Maybe we need to look into this further. But no. The show couldn't be more high level and just be like, well, it's not that deep. Even though it is trying to say it is that deep, it really isn't that deep. It's not willing or interested in going anything other than surface level.
Yeah, totally. And like, the other thing with that so once in the first episode of that, kind of those 2 episodes where Daphne leaves and then comes back again.
Yes, yeah.
After the whole thing where she falls over and they can't get her back up, and she resolves to go and lose all this weight and go on the diet or whatever.
Yeah.
She then starts hiding food, and at no point is that like they're not at all worried by the idea that now food has become a secretive thing. She goes from like, she's eating more than she used to, she's perfectly happy, whatever, to a point where she's hiding food around the apartment. And
yes, I remember now. Yes.
Yeah, and at no point do they think, oh, this might be worse. This might be worse, actually. That she now feels that she can't eat in front of us.
That we've shamed her into this really disordered eating now. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, they've really exacerbated the situation with their horrible jokes and everything else. And yeah, like, I'm sure there would be a whole podcast on how terrible they are as psychiatrists. But
oh my God, I want to listen to that.
I would listen to that. If some psychiatrists want to, set that up, I would listen to that.
Please.
Of course.
Oh my God, I would subscribe so quickly, because you're absolutely... Because, I mean, that's part of the whole joke between Frasier and Niles and their competitiveness, is that Niles views Frasier's as like pop psychiatry. It's not real. You can't possibly get into depth. But we don't really see much of Niles in action. There's the odd scene, I remember the episode where he's having to do the see his clients from the apartment, and Daphne's really bad with the boundaries. It really annoys me, that, because Daphne wouldn't do that, but whatever.
Yeah, there's a storyline where she goes through his notes at one point as well, and I don't think she can do that.
I mean, like, I guess like most sitcoms or shows that are 11 years in, they really started to struggle. I think because you mentioned like the vacuum that gets taken away because the will they won't they gets resolved. And they obviously weren't willing to do like a Ross and Rachel where they break them up again to get them back together again, because it's so fucking tired. I hate that. But it meant that the most interesting thing about both of these characters no longer exists. So I think they like ended up like, well, Niles not as much, because I mean, I'm so biased because I love Niles too much. But I think Daphne, they didn't know what to do with her as well, because she couldn't still be the maid, because that would be weird if she's like married to Niles. So I just don't think they knew what to do with her character when it got to that point.
Yeah.
It's so. I mean, if it's 7 years in, so it's around 2000 this season takes place, and obviously that's the height of like fat phobia and diet culture. We've had we're so close to Bridget Jones, like that's all in the zeitgeist. Women's bodies being ridiculed and monitored for any imperfection, and Frasier is right there with them, which is very disappointing.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting to view it in the context of shows like Friends as well. Like if you acknowledge that they're in the same, they're running at the same time, you can absolutely see the forces playing into both story of like both shows' presentation of like body and like fatness. Like they're feeding off the same toxic culture, but they're just displaying it in very different like social contexts.
Yeah, and I think like ultimately, I mean, unsurprisingly for shows from this time, it is as basic as, well, fat is bad. Fat is bad. It's not something to be glamorized or shown off proudly. It's something we should be mocking. It's not it's not something that, a character like Monica, who, Courtney Cox is meant to be this, is this gorgeous actress, young actress that everyone wants to be with, her being formerly fat. She would never want to do that again. That's that's never going to happen to Monica.
Yeah.
But then, Sandra on Friends, what really upsets me about the Monica character is that, whenever they have, a flashback or, a what could have happened episode, she's always seen as fat, and she's always so happy. And I'm like, that's
she's just
good.
living her life. She's
living
just,
her life.
yeah. Poor
she
girl.
wants to dance. She wants to eat pizza.
She hasn't been shamed yet until that horrible episode where Chandler calls her fat, or I can't remember the exact context, but... And then she comes back the next year and she's lost all that weight. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
You mentioned at the beginning, there's not that many fat characters in the show. And when I sent you this email, I was like, Kenny for me is the obvious one. But then I went away and I was like, Donny, Simon, Gertrude.
That's true, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'm not saying there's loads. I'm not saying there's a plethora. But there is a few we can talk about. So let's talk about Kenny. I loved your interpretation of that. If you come into Frasier fat, then that's almost kind of okay. Because from my memory, I don't think Kenny's weight is commented on.
I also couldn't remember at point because I haven't gone and rewatched all of Frasier again, so there very much could be.
Very well could be.
But yeah, he's in 42 episodes or something like that.
Yeah.
And I can't remember a single instance where his weight is commented on.
No, not at all.
There may be other ways in which he sort of will fall into a stereotype, but he certainly no one's ever said anything negative or even commented on his weight, as far as I can recall.
Yeah, I totally agree. But then in his characterization, he's portrayed as this, a bit of a loser is our Kenny.
Yeah.
A bit meek, maybe a bit underqualified to be a radio station manager. He's someone who could be easily steamrolled. He has a midlife crisis in one episode where he starts riding a motorbike and is going out with Zooey Deschanel.
Oh God.
It's very creepy. I'm like, Kenny, no. You can't. I think he has an affair at one point.
I think it's good that you bring that up because it actually happens, or he's kind of on the edge of having an affair in the same episode that Daphne, the falling over thing with Daphne. It's an episode called Hungry Heart, which is a horror. It already tells you it's going to be fucking awful. Yeah. And so the kind of B plot in that episode is that Kenny has gone to a bar and he has bumped into a woman who is outrageously attracted to him. And he has just been so flattered and he's so attracted to this woman. So he's given her his home phone number. Not a smart move.
Mate, not smart.
And said he's going to meet her and they've arranged a date. And then in a crisis, he goes to Frasier and says, oh my God, what have I done? I don't trust myself to go down there and tell this woman that I don't want to have an affair because I'm married. And so he gets Frasier to go down for him. And obviously there is a case of mistaken identity because Kenny's wife shows up and then Frasier turns up and lets Jen, who is actually Kenny's wife, down and is very complimentary to her. So she then arranges a date with Frasier as a sort of means of revenge. But yeah, as you say, there is an episode where he doesn't have an affair, but then is contemplating having an affair. As you say, he's very in the kind of midlife crisis sphere. And it's quite hard to disentangle him as just a middle-aged character, say, and as to what extent is it a play on the middle-aged guy, or is it a middle-aged fat guy specifically? It's hard to know.
Yeah, I think this sounds particularly bad, but I think if we look at stereotypes, as much as I said the Zooey Deschanel episode is particularly creepy, I think if Kenny's character was more sexually lecherous, it would be feeding more into the fat stereotype.
Yeah.
But because he rarely does, if anything, he comes across as really naive.
Yeah.
That I think it plays more into this middle-aged, management, doesn't really have a goal. Because there's that great episode, we mentioned it already, when Frasier gets fired and he goes to the picnic and he just expects that everyone else is struggling to get a job, but no, everyone's got a job already. And then he goes to Kenny thinking that Kenny will definitely not have a job, but Kenny's back at the radio station because they still need a manager, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because Frasier thinks that like Kenny's his last hope to like not be a complete loser, but no, Kenny's grand.
Yeah, Kenny's doing fine.
Kenny's fine. So yeah, so that's his character arc, is this bit of a loser. And I remember there's one point where he is a pizza delivery man.
Yeah, it's like a flashback to even before the show starts, I think.
That's it. It's a flashback because Bulldog is also a pizza delivery man.
Yeah, if you get fired from your radio job, that's the only job, I'm afraid.
You go from KCL to pizza. That's the only trajectory you have. Yeah, so yeah, I totally agree. I think maybe more playing into the midlife crisis, middle-aged man stereotype.
Yeah.
But then let's contrast that with Donnie, who
Donnie
is such an interesting character.
I kind of loved Daphne and Donnie together. Don't get me wrong, I loved Daphne and Niles. But Donnie's a good guy. I mean, you know, he's a divorce lawyer. There's some dodgy stuff once Daphne leaves him at the altar and he sort of lashes out at her.
He's a bit crazy.
Again, this is the storyline that the pattern in Frasier is that people are allowed to, you know, do cruel things to each other and grow back from it, which is what Donnie eventually does. Donnie's kind of a catch. He's a funny guy. He's an attractive guy. He's not a conventionally attractive guy because he's a little shorter. As you say, he would probably qualify as a fat character in the eyes of the show. But he's got great chemistry with Daphne. He treats her well. He's very kind. He's a very generous guy. Accepting of her mad family.
I don't know how. I do want to have a tangent on Daphne's family.
All those classic British people who you know, the best accents on television. All of them.
Oh my god! Honest to God, I saw when I was just quickly looking at the awards. Then Anthony LaPaglia was nominated for a guest role in this show, and they clearly didn't watch the fucking show because what are you on about?
So he's in a film that I really really love, called Analyze That. I don't know if you've seen it, and I have a weird affection for him now because he was in Frasier and Analyze That, which I adore. It's a bizarre performance.
He's in So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh my god, it's so worth a watch. Okay. Absolutely worth a watch. It's stupid. Mike Myers is in the fat suit at one point. What a shocker. But he's in that. So that's what I knew him from. And then so but I was like, he's an American, so I married an axe murderer. English in Frasier, but he's Australian.
Yeah, he's in Everyman. What can I say? Wherever you need him to be from, he is from.
I'll be there. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, back to Donnie though. I could not agree more. I think he's a really good character. He's well-rounded. He's incredibly intelligent. He's very successful at his job. He's obviously done really well for himself. He's got great chemistry with Daphne. I love their height difference. I think it's really endearing.
I know it's kind of similar with Niles as well. Like Niles is either the same height as her or shorter than her. I can't remember.
Yeah. Jane Leaves does. She just feels very tall, doesn't she?
She's a tall girl.
Yeah. So yeah, I love Donnie. I like his introduction, which is when Niles is trying to divorce Maris, who's like taking them to the cleaners because she has these ridiculous, hotshot lawyers, and he's just getting rinsed by his lawyers. And he comes in and he's like in his like gym gear, and so immediately we're told that bigger man exercises.
Yeah.
Tick. Point, love that. And he just takes control of the situation to like Frasier and Niles like upset. They're not happy. They're like, no, you're going too fast. You can't just ring them. And Donnie's talking like a million miles an hour, he's shouting over at his assistant, and like Niles and Frasier keep stopping their story. He's like, no, I'm listening, keep going. And he's just clearly is shown very quickly that he's an incredibly competent man. And not only that, he's going to be Niles's hero in this divorce case. And he finds this really good, juicy knowledge on where money comes from. It's not from timber, it's from urinal cakes, and that's like silly. So Niles gets the deal that he wanted, but then at the loss of losing Daphne to Donnie, because Donnie's put on the charm with Daphne. Yeah. And you're right, I really like Daphne and Donnie together too. They're really, really sweet. And so the rest of the season is them like planning the wedding. And they both seem super excited for the wedding until Daphne gets this like psychic. Oh, we didn't even mention that Daphne's a psychic.
Yeah, really crucial detail. She's a psychic, guys.
She's a psychic.
I was like, she's quirky, but I kind of did downplay the fact that she's psychic. I should have mentioned that.
Psychic, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
But she has this like dream where she sees a man with a dragon who's meant to be her dream man, and that's not Donny. Turns out it's Niles. It's like a convoluted reason why that's Niles. So because she's had this dream, she's now having second thoughts on whether she should be marrying Donny. And then when she finds out that Niles loves her, how does she find out? Does Frasier tell her?
He does. Frasier has hurt his back, and he's high on pain medication.
Yeah.
And he already sort of almost lets it slip once, but Daphne's under the impression that Frasier is in love with her, and then they clear that up. And then when he's very, very high on the pain meds, and she's like, that's funny that, everyone, when we were talking about this, everyone was acting like this really was true. I wonder why they did that. And then he was like, because it's Niles who loves you. He's crazy about you.
That's it. Yeah.
And then obviously, then she has several episodes of going, holy shit, oh my God. And he's literally just married someone else at this moment. And it's brutal.
It's brutal. Okay, so you're Daphne in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you doing? Are you getting married to Donny? Are you telling Niles that you love him too?
God, I think I am like a kind of Victorian woman, I think, where I would just do what was expected of me. I hate that about myself. I truly do. I wish I was the main character. I'm like the Charlotte Lucas type of like, you know what? He's a good guy.
He's a good man.
He's a good man. He's going to take care of me. And yeah, so I think I probably would have married Donny, although I think she would have been happy with Donny. Don't get me wrong. I don't buy into this idea that, it was Niles or nothing for her.
No,
she would have been happy with him.
Yeah, I think she knows that. But I think when the door was open for Niles, especially the episode when it all kind of comes out at the night before the wedding, which is that whole sequence is really, really good. It's so intense with the hotel room and people coming in and going out. Oh my God, it's so, so good. And when they're on the balcony and they finally explain that they both like have feelings for each other and they have their first kiss. Oh, genuine, like fireworks.
Perfect.
So good. But at the same time, like I really do understand why she's like, I can't. Like her entire family are there, his entire family are there. They're getting married literally the next day. It's a lot, man. Like I'm not saying she just go along with weddings because it's inconvenient not to, but like it's hard. It takes a lot of courage to say no like that.
Yeah, it's a very public, and it does end up being a very, very public affair.
Yeah.
It's a horrible situation that they're in the worst possible circumstances to be doing all this. But it's a testament to how much chemistry the two actors have, I think. And the culmination of that after like 7 seasons of this really beautiful love from afar, because there were loads of really sad moments in it where like Niles almost tells her, and then for whatever reason, and she'll say like, oh, I love you, Dr. Crane, and he'll say, I love you, Daphne, in a real pointed, sad way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
when they're at the bar,
Yeah. Ugh, thinking about it.
Yeah, no, they are such a good will they, won't they? And I can't help but compare it, because I haven't seen Cheers. I didn't mention it before. I haven't seen Cheers, so I can't. I would like to watch Cheers, for sure, just for added context and stuff. But I cannot help but compare it to the other will they, won't they of Rachel and Ross during this time period. And I loathe Ross with the power of 1,000 suns. So for me, it never really hits. I love Rachel, but like Ross, no. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, they did that thing where they get together like the end of like in season 3 or something, and so they break them up almost immediately, and then they get them together and they break up the next episode. So that like wears really thin really quickly. And I remember Glee doing that as well with Finn and Rachel. Literally, they get together at the end of one season, and literally the next episode of the next season they break up again. I cannot stand it. I find it's rude to your audience.
Yeah.
So I think Frasier handled it really well. And I will always judge the hell out of Niles for marrying Mel. Because it's like, dude, just slow down. You don't need to get married right now. But I know he's like, lover boy. He's just in it.
Lover boy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in it. And I'm like, no, Niles, be sensible.
You need to control yourself. Like, be sensible, for God's sake. Again, sounding like a Victorian mother. Like, just be sensible and think it through.
Absolutely, absolutely. But then let's move on to Simon and Gertrude. So this is Daphne's brother and Daphne's mum. Simon's definitely like a bigger guy. Gertrude, again, she's not like the biggest woman in the world at all, but in terms of American television, she's definitely meant to read as bigger.
Yeah.
And these two characters, again, I don't think their size is ever mentioned. I don't feel it's a punching bag, but their characteristics are the punching bag. Like Simon is this layabout thief, beer drinking, rude, terrible guest character who just annoys everyone all the time, apart from Marty. Right, Marty's the only one who can deal with him. And I'm like, yeah, we'll put him in your room then, Marty. You know what I mean? Like, why does he have to be in the living room all the time? But his weight is never the butt of the joke, I don't think.
No. And he's seen as, I know it's a kind of a joke about his English accent, but he is desirable to like Roz and several of her friends. Like he's never unattractive, is Simon.
Apparently not.
Inexplicably, because his personality is terrible.
It's horrendous. I mean, obviously Roz is like one of Roz's characteristics is obviously that she loves a man. And I'm like, but Roz, we need to have some standards, babe. And Simon is not one of them.
Simon, get as far away from Simon as you could possibly get. Like,
please.
My God.
Oh, yeah, I loathe him, like, so much. And then Gertrude, who, again, an incredibly infuriating character, so childish and whiny, and she's just the biggest prick to Daphne and Niles. But again, her body is never part of that. She's just a normal woman, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just noticeable when every other female character that we see is thin, and that is a choice, to have someone who's just that slightly bigger. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting representation.
You know, you saying all this, the one character who I think I can remember who, and again, she's never considered a love interest, even though she's a very beautiful woman, is Dr. Mary, who is in the one storyline that Frasier tried to do to acknowledge the fact that it's a very, very white show. Frasier has, so essentially he's doing a thing where while Roz is, I can't remember what she's doing, but for some reason she's
away.
She's on sabbatical or something.
Yeah.
He's trying to help people who are kind of stuck in jobs they don't like and get a bit of experience on the radio. So he helps out this woman, Mary, who is black. And she fills in the producer role on Frasier's show for a bit. And it's a storyline about how Frasier is unwilling to talk to this woman and say, you're butting in too much to my radio show, because she's black, and he's uncomfortable with the idea of being the rich white guy talking down to a black woman. And there are all sorts of really horrible, problematic things about this storyline. But the thing that us talking about, like, Simon and Gertrude brought to mind is that Frasier hits on anything that moves. He's like the horniest man in the world.
Yes.
The woman who plays Dr. Mary is a very beautiful lady.
Stun.
He never hits on her. And I think part of that's because she's black. I think Frasier basically never has.
He does.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so I think there's an episode called Don Juan in Hell, where you see Frasier sort of thinking about his past relationships and processing the fact that he might have intimacy issues, and he might be afraid of rejection, he might be afraid of being alone. So there are kind of personifications of all his ex-girlfriends in this episode as if they're talking to him, like, in his mind. And I think you maybe see in, like, there's a scene where he, like, opens a door and there are all these women stood there, and there might be, like, one black lady who does not see in this whole thing, but she's never.
He's not racist.
He's not racist. He's dated one black lady one time. So, like, basically, Frasier never dates anyone black in the show. So, like, I cannot think of a reason why he would not hit on Dr. Mary.
Yeah.
To be honest, I know there's that kind of professional relationship, maybe, but that's never really stopped him with random work.
I was going to say.
Yeah, like, that's never really happened.
No.
And she's very beautiful. The only things I can think of that would stop him from doing that are the fact that she's black and the fact that she's a bit bigger than the other women that he would date.
Yeah.
Again, she's not fat.
No.
But yeah, like, it's interesting to me that so much of Frasier is about Frasier's relationships, and you never see him with anyone who isn't quite thin, I would say.
Yes, I totally agree. Like, Frasier has a type, and that type is model. Model. Like, Lilith, Bebe Neuwirth is gorgeous.
Yes.
She's a very slight woman. Okay, so she might not be tall like a model, but she is, for all intents and purposes, model.
It's Velma Kelly we're talking about. She's
literally Velma Kelly.
incredible.
Yeah, exactly that. An icon. I fucking love Lilith.
Yeah.
The episode when Lilith and Niles have sex is one of my favorite episodes of all time.
There are so many other, like, so if Niles had ended up with Lilith, if he'd ended up with Roz, there are so many people who he has insane chemistry with, and I really feel like that kind of back and forth, like, between him and Roz and him and Lilith is so good. It's amazing.
It's so good. And you're absolutely, I love his back and forth of Roz. It's so camp, but that would like, I would just like melt.
Yeah. If like that was happening around me in the workplace, I would be like,
I know. I'm like, somebody's call HR immediately.
I know. Like, what's going on? Like, is anyone else seeing this? What's happening here?
Basically shagging. Like, basically shagging.
It's incredible.
Rosa.
The heat, the tension is incredible.
Absolutely. But what were we talking about? Oh yeah, model.
Yeah.
So, but then I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, so who, like, going Rolodex of Frasier's love interest in this show, and who stood out for me was Anne.
Can't even remember Anne. Who's Anne again?
Anne is the episode where he's been set up on a blind date by someone, and this is the episode where Kenny's asked, "Oh, do you want to come out for dinner with my niece?"
Yeah.
Frasier's like, "No, Kenny, I do not want to go out for dinner with you and your niece."
Yeah. So
he goes out on this blind date, and Anne is played by this just like middle-aged, squidgy woman. And God, I don't even know what her job is, but it's like a boring insurance job. And Frasier is so bored. He's so bored by her. And he's like, "Oh, I've got to make an excuse to go." So he gets that excuse to go. But then Kenny and the niece walk in, and the niece is like dynamite hot. So now Frasier has to work out, how can he leave Anne while simultaneously going on this date, having dinner with Kenny and his niece. And that's the thing. And she ends up coming back because Frasier accidentally breaks her leg, and he has to like look after her in the apartment because "I'll sue you." Like, that's like her whole catchphrase. That is the only woman I could think of that is unconventionally attractive in the eyes of Frasier.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I'd forgotten about Anne completely. I can't think of anyone else.
That's it. You can't think Anne is in 2 episodes in an entire 11 seasons, and that's the only person I could think of. But then at the same time, like you say, Frasier's love life is one of the main focuses of the show. As a thrice divorced man, we find out.
God, yeah, 3 times, yeah.
3 times, and. And in some ways, I really do feel for Frasier because, like, he's a lot going for him, but women are just not biting at all.
Well, they're not biting, but of course, the inexplicable logic of the show is that loads of women sleep with him. He does sleep with loads of these women. He can just never lock it down. Like he sleeps with the zoologist supermodel lady, but he just fucks it up because he's so desperate to prove to everyone that he slept with the zoologist come supermodel. There are loads of really attractive women who he is like entangled with, but as you say, he's always shooting for the moon. He's always shooting for the hottest woman in the room.
Yeah,
conventionally so, at least.
Yes, conventionally so.
And yeah, as you say, like this obsession with being with these supermodels is probably stopping him from finding real happiness. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I guess it's part of his whole character arc is that he's so pompous and grandiose. He thinks of himself bigger than what he actually is. I don't mean to be cruel to Kelsey Grammer, but I'm like, he's not the most conventionally attractive man. So it's like, you're not playing within your league either.
Yeah.
But then does that not speak a lot to men and how they approach the dating pool, which is that they think just because they're a man, just because you've got good money, just because you've got a gorgeous apartment that overlooks the fucking Space Needle on the what's he always says like something where his apartment is on the like balance or something like that.
I can't remember. Yeah, is that it? I can't remember.
I think so. I'm like, I don't know Seattle at all.
No.
Ethan, I gotta go to Seattle.
Oh, me too. I'm desperate to go.
We are desperate to go.
Yeah.
Like, desperate. And I'm like, I just want to go. Like, even though you don't actually see much of Seattle in the show, it's such a character.
Yeah. Like the rain of it and the vibe of it.
Yeah.
I saw they were doing, this was a couple of years ago, but they were doing an auction of props from Frasier, which of course I had a look at. And they were selling the chairs from Cafe Nervosa. And I was like, oh my God, I need this. But obviously there were several grand and I could not afford to get them.
Well, that's a shame. Oh my God, like a Nervosa apron would be cool.
Oh my God, exactly. Yeah, or the cups or anything to do with that. I would just, absolutely adore. Yeah, no, I really want to go to Seattle.
Yeah.
Can I bring in my fact about Frasier Crane Day here?
Oh my God, yeah.
So there's an episode where all of Seattle, you're never quite sure of Frasier's level of fame because sometimes it's like he's a nobody. Yeah. And then sometimes he's like the most famous man in all of Seattle. It's very strange.
Yes.
They do a thing called Frasier Crane Day.
Yes.
Which is very funny, where they throw like an event for Frasier to celebrate what a great guy he is, and then they struggle to get there. Like they're getting all stuck in traffic and all this stuff. And Niles is saying very funny things like, "I'm surprised the trains are even running on Frasier Crane Day."
That's really good.
Stuff like that. But the real Frasier Crane Day that they held was on 9/11. So Frasier Crane Day is like 9/11. But obviously, this was just an episode that aired in like 2000, which is. So, like, now you can see on the end of this episode, it will be like, the real Frasier Crane Day, September the 11th, 2000, or something. It's like really, it's really crazy.
Because then they lose, like, their producer and his wife in the 9/11 attacks. Oh my God, that's really weird, like, universe working there.
Yeah, like, awful. And of course, that's why the baby, Niles and Daphne's baby, is called David. And they go, little angel, because of David Angel, who died in 9/11. But yeah, it's a weird coincidence.
Very weird coincidence. No, good fact. Good fact.
What a bleak fact.
Bleak, but good. We need to, this is real life. Okay, so we spoke about the fat characters. We've touched on Maris, but I'd love to talk a little bit more about Maris because she is one of sitcom's favourite tropes, which is the invisible character. We love this trope. Like, it's in Friends again. We keep bringing up Friends. We can't help it. There's loads of shows do this, don't they? I've said that, and I'm like, where are all the other examples in my head?
I suddenly can't think of any anyway, because Maris to me is like the prototype. She's the blueprint for the unseen character.
So Maris, we don't see Maris, but what we know, like you said, is she was larger as a child. She's gone through a very long period of weight loss and restrictive eating. It is the butt of the joke all the time that you can't see Maris. She's as thin as a pole. She never eats. Even though like Niles and Maris live this incredibly lavish lifestyle where they probably go to like fancy dinners all the time, but she would never indulge. And then is it during the divorce or is it after the divorce?
I think it's just after the divorce. It's like it's gone through and she's not dealing well with the fact that it's
not dealt with it well. Yes, because the team are in Nervosa and Niles runs in like in a panic and he says, oh my god, you need to come to the window. He says something like, oh sorry Bethan, do you know what the quote is?
I think it's so Roz and Frasier go into Cafe Nervosa, which is the cafe that they all go to.
Yes.
And they see Niles at the window and he's like, look at that woman over there.
Yes.
She's gone into that bakery opposite and this is the third time she's gone in, eaten something and then gone back out. And they go, what a fucking horrible thing to say. Why are you saying that? Like, that's really childish. It's really immature to, like, that's her own business. How dare you? Which is completely unlike the attitude they show towards Daphne. That's by the by.
Yeah.
And then then Niles goes, that's Maris. And then they go, what? And then they all focus in on her because obviously she's in this big dramatic change in her body.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for like clarifying that. Because I was like, how does all work out again? But yeah, she going back to that emotional eating we were mentioning earlier. She's obviously going through a period of high stress. She's eating a lot as she becomes again another part of the joke because she's on the other extreme. And I'm just like, this is like for a character we don't see. They are relying on us, the audience, to imagine what she may look like, and I think that is. Number one, cowardly. And number two, like, is also clever because you're going to go to the extremes. They want us to imagine the extremes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Maris is barely a character, but she's just she's obviously not a nice person either. So it's it's okay that we mock her because she's not very nice anyway. But she is treated horrendously. Like she's clearly got an eating disorder. She's clearly like battling some shit, and they just mock her horrendously for it.
Yeah, there's like a horrible joke about her it's something like she tenses her neck and her necklace explodes or something during this period. It's really grim.
Yes.
And I will hold my hands up and say that some of the previous Maris jokes about her being sort of very thin and or like quite alien looking, I've laughed at a lot of those. There's some like witty stuff thrown into these things, but they are rooted in this like horrible fact about Maris, which is that clearly she's got a really horrible relationship with food because she's been made to lose all this weight, or felt that she had to lose all this weight, and that is clearly making her very unhappy. And she is a horrible person, and a very wealthy woman who wields her wealth in horrible ways. But that does not like change the fact that she needs, to be given basic decency, as we all deserve.
Exactly.
It's a gross element of the plot, and again, so they never ended up casting someone as Maris because of all these jokes they made about her appearance, because they were just like, we cannot find a human woman who will look like this. I think there is a joke about, at one point, it's a maid character who translates, I think from German, she says she's my something something, or not quite human woman. Like, so they were never going to find this woman, because obviously that would be a horrendous thing to say about any actresses who came in.
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a get out of jail free card, isn't it? Because they're not mocking an actress or someone's real body. They're just, is this made up person, right?
Yeah, and that allows them a bit of license to be quite.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I know the scene you're talking about where, like, it's the fencer who's like having this affair with Maris, but he speaks German, which, is it Fraiser understands, or no, that the maid understands, but she doesn't speak English, but Fraiser speaks Spanish.
Yeah, I do love that episode. It's really funny. It's a great
really
episode. And again, lots of physical comedy from David Hyde Pierce, which is always a plus.
Yes, we love, we absolutely adore. Yeah, like, and Frasier's so good at that, like, miscommunication. Like, that's it's bread and butter, and it's so smart with doing that. Talking about the maid, I can't remember her name, but she really cares for Maris, really looks after her. And I think it's when Maris is kind of being framed for this murder of this Argentinian something.
What a crazy storyline that is.
Yeah, crazy story. And she like runs away, but they pack her in this like picture frame box. And the maid says, Mrs. Crane, you need to drink your meal. You've got like a big trip ahead. This straw goes into the hole.
Straw, yeah.
I drink. And she's like, very good, Mrs. Crane. And then she's like, oh, what's that? No problem. And then she puts this straw back, and like she regurgitates the shake back into the glass. And I was like, come on, guys, that's like genuine like eating disorder behavior that you have on screen right now.
Yeah. It's there are so many moments like that particularly when you, like, if you're viewing it in the context of the Daphne stuff, and then you go back and you think about Maris. It's like, you can't be fat and you can't be thin having been fat and like have to monitor your weight. Like, if you've been fat and now you're thin, then you have to be like Monica, and you have to it must never breach the surface ever again. You can never acknowledge it ever again. So like, you're either a Daphne or you're a Maris. Either you're fat and that's a problem, or you're thin and you're obsessed with your appearance. Women in particular, they cannot win.
Cannot win. No, totally agree. So I think about two more things that I wanted to raise with you. So one was, I don't know if there's much in this at all, but I'd just love to get your take. But Niles' heart attack storyline always interests me, just purely because that is an illness or a condition that fat phobes like to claim only affect fat people. And I think it was interesting that we see the character of Niles, who, like David Hyde Pierce, is a very slender man, go through this storyline where he needs to get a bypass. And his health is, in jeopardy. And it's because he has enjoyed a life of very rich food, lots of pate, lots of sherry. And I was really, I don't know, like, I thought it was I understand for the storyline of Niles, they wanted to give, that character something to do. And I love the episode. I know it's probably a bit sappy, but like where they go through the hospital and all the different memories that have happened and what's going to happen in that hospital. I really, really liked that. It's lovely. But yeah, so I wanted to get your take, like having Niles go through like a heart attack storyline.
Yeah, to be honest, that had never occurred to me. I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I hadn't even thought about the fact that Niles is a thin character. Like going through that is a real departure from the general narrative about kind of heart disease and various heart-related conditions. But you're completely right. Like I think it's really unusual to see. I think if they'd given that to Frasier as like a health scare storyline, that would have fallen more in line with what I would expect for a TV show. But yeah, you're completely right. I think like giving it to Niles is really, really interesting. And to make the point that like it's someone who's been eating a lot of rich food or whatever, but is still thin, is very, very thin.
Yeah.
Well, not very, very thin, but like, he's a slight man.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's really interesting, even if they weren't explicitly trying to, like make a point about fatness and like narratives around health or whatever. Like, I think that's a really cool aspect of Frasier that I hadn't considered.
It's subversive. Like, you say another show would have 100% just given it to the bigger character, because that is what we are constantly told. I mean, I can't say what the health advice was, in the late 90s, early 2000s, but definitely in today's day and age, when we talk about cardiac health, cardiovascular disease, heart attack, it's always related to weight and quote-unquote obesity, even though any body size, any body weight can have those things. So I think I was pleasantly surprised to see that storyline play out. And I'm very happy that Niles pulls through at the end, of course.
Thank God.
Thank God, I was just turned off the show. What's the point?
No, God.
And then something fun I want to just to like pick your brains on. Who is your favourite side character?
Side characters? That's a really... So we're not talking like Roz?
Not the core. No,
Okay,
not Roz. I'm talking your Knowles. I'm talking about your Bulldogs.
What? Maybe Bibi Glazer?
Bibi Glazer.
The devil herself. God.
She is my idol.
Stun. She's so stun. Although there are at least 3 or 4 really fantastic female comedic roles in Frasier who come up a lot. You've obviously got Daphne, you've got Roz. But like Bibi, Lilith as recurring female characters are hilarious. They are so funny.
Hilarious.
Bibi, for context for anyone who doesn't know the show, is Frasier's agent, who is sort of, as I say, the devil herself. She is
insane.
She's the perfect agent and completely amoral and insane and willing to do anything.
She's hilarious.
She's such a funny woman, and God help me, I should know the name of the actress, and her name escapes me. It's Harriet something, but she's such a funny woman.
Harriet Sansom Harris.
What a name, and what a woman.
What a name. What a woman. She is in 11 episodes, Bethan. 11 episodes.
It feels like so many more. She makes such an impact.
She makes such an impact. And it's just any time she walks on the screen and she has that transatlantic accent from a different time, it's just like every element of her character is comedy gold, and I am so thrilled whenever she makes an appearance. Thrilled.
She makes the episodes that she's in. And what you say about the transatlantic accents, like a lot of the dynamics of Frasier, it feels very old school. It feels like quite news.
Yes, yeah.
It's like snappy, like women getting to talk back to men. There's very snappy dialogue. It's women hold their own. It's what's the term? Is it Hawksian women? It's like Howard Hawks is like female protagonists, like lots of like sort of Katharine Hepburn type characters. Again, with those transatlantic accents that lots of the characters in Frasier have. It's just perfect. Like any chance I could get, if I could do the transatlantic accent, I will be walking around doing it right now. I promise you that.
Yes, 100%. 100%. I don't want to do it because I know I'm going to just embarrass myself. But in my head, I'm flawless at it.
Yeah, I'm just walking around wearing high-waisted trousers and sort of like telling people off. That's
with a little cropped waistcoat that matches the pattern.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, so who is your favourite side character?
It is Bibi. It is Bibi. I adore her, but I also just really love like the kind of guest stars. There is an episode I can never re-watch because I find it so cringe, and that is the one with blanked entirely on his name. And I will be crucified because you'll be like, oh, it's this incredibly famous actor, Hannah.
No.
The episode of Lilith's brother coming to town, who's a con man.
I 100% know who you mean, and I can't.
Batman.
The name is escaping. Michael Keaton.
Keaton, thank you.
Michael Keaton, yeah.
I cannot watch the episode. It cringes me out so much to watch intense. Frasier like lose his marbles so intensely in front of so many people.
Yeah.
Ugh. It makes me feel sick. But like the guest stars are guest starring in this show. The callers into the radio show are all celebrities, which is really cool. And I honestly would pat myself so hard on the back when I got the celebrity.
Yeah,
like I recognize that voice. It very rarely happened, Bethan, but like when it did, I was like, yes.
I used to love the end of series episodes where they would go like, "Thanks for calling," and then they would show all the people who'd been on. That was fun.
So good. There's like there's an episode where Frasier accidentally loses Marty's beloved armchair, and he has to track it down, and he finds it in like this school production, and a very young Brittany Murphy is one of the girls in that.
I don't think I've ever noticed that.
She has no lines. She's just there, and I'm like an icon.
Yeah.
I love like having that. There's another episode where Frasier's identity's stolen, and it's stolen by Nathan Lane, and I fucking love Nathan Lane.
I have a Nathan Lane Frasier connection to make.
God. Okay.
So I was watching The Birdcage recently.
Love The
Birdcage. Perfect film. Well, not perfect film.
And did you see Kelsey Grammer in La Cage aux Folles?
No.
Oh, I thought that's where you were going.
No, I wasn't aware that was a thing. That's amazing.
Yes. What year would it have been? 2010. Kelsey Grammer is in Broadway doing La Cage aux Folles, which me and my family went to go see because we were big fans of La Cage aux Folles and obviously Kelsey Grammer because we love Frasier. And I'd also seen La Cage aux Folles in the West End when John Barrowman was in it because again I'm a Doctor Who fan. No comment on John Barrowman at this time. But yeah, that's where I thought you were going. I thought that was a connection.
You've broken my heart by telling me that was the thing.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I feel like I completely undermined what you were going to say.
No. The other, this is a tangent on a tangent, sorry. But the other thing that I'm gutted that I missed is that David Hyde Pierce was in Hello Dolly with Bette Midler. Oh. And I would have killed you. I would have killed anyone to go to that. My God, I've never been more upset to miss a thing in my life.
I mean, he is a Broadway baby, though, isn't he?
Yes, exactly.
He's a Broadway baby.
He is, and so many people on Frasier were, which I think is part of the success of it, is that they've got some really good theatre actors in it.
Yeah.
But no, I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, no. So obviously, The Birdcage. Nathan Lane stars in The Birdcage. Should have got an Oscar for that, in my opinion, but that's by the by.
Please.
But Kenny is in The Birdcage. He's
the reporter.
He is the reporter, and in that they talk about him being fat, and they make comments about his weight, and he is a sleazy character who works for like the National Enquirer or something, and is following Gene Hackman down. And I was like, poor Kenny, but leave Kenny alone.
Getting it there.
Yeah,
Kenny. Yes, I did know that. I just forgot that's how he was treated. Oh, The Birdcage, truly a 5-star film.
Love that film. Yeah.
No notes. There's no notes to be
had. Yeah.
Okay, and then my last question, and I'm gonna fail immediately because I only have one in my mind right now. But what is your favorite Frasier quote?
God, that is so hard, and that's there are so many. Like some of them are all in the delivery. So like,
no, I could not agree more.
Yeah, punched in the face by a man now dead is one of my favorites. And the recurring element of that. I love that. I love them saying blackball in the episode where they're trying to do the party and they're vetoing each other's choices and they just go blackball or whatever. There are so many. And I do have one tattooed on me.
You got it.
So I have this skull. I'm not going to be able to show this to you very well, but Look at that. It's a little hand with a skull. Because there's an episode of... It's quite late in the run.
It is late, yeah.
Yeah. There's an episode of Frasier where Niles and Frasier go back to... I think it's a house they used to rent as a family. And they're trying to buy it. And the owner is there, and they were always frightened of the owner. And then they find under the floorboards a skull. And they... Because of who they are, they jump to the conclusion that this man has killed his wife.
Of course.
But of course, it was from a boyhood production of Hamlet that they put on, which, you know, is a universal experience. Didn't we all put on Hamlet as children? There was a scene where Kelsey Grammer as Frasier like lifts up the skull in the kind of classic Hamlet pose and goes, "One thing is for certain, someone is very dead." Like that, very dramatic, so stupid, like the whole thing, but it like completely lives on the delivery of this incredible chemistry that Kelsey Grammer and David Hyde Pierce have. So me and my sister, because I like part of the reason why I love Frasier is because I have that kind of sibling relationship where I'm very dangerously close with my sibling, and we're quite similar people, and it's like you get the one, you get that other one. Particularly, me and my sister really thought that kind of summed up the vibe of our relationship as well. So we both have this tattoo. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that also is...
No, that's so important. That's just another layer. That's another layer of like why this means so much to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So my favorite quote, because if I hear it in my head, I instantly start laughing. And I'm not going to do it justice. But the setup is that Daphne and Niles, who are now together and they've got rid of their like previous lovers, but are now be like, you know, Donny wants to sue Daphne and Mel has like this ridiculous contractual agreement that Niles needs to agree to, and they're really angry at each other because they feel like each other has put themselves into this situation. And then they realize that actually it's not each other, it's Frasier that's put them in this situation, because if he hadn't have told Daphne, then Daphne would have got married to Donnie and Niles would be married to Mel. And as they're going at Frasier just bellows in the way only Kelsey Grammer can do. "I'm wounded."
I have a t-shirt with the "I'm wounded," like a vaporwave t-shirt where like Kelsey Grammer's face is like printed several times across the whole thing.
I need this t-shirt.
I will have to find it and send it to you.
You do that immediately. Like it's so funny, and it's so funny, and he's so emotional. And the thing is, like, Frasier is so dramatic as a person, and coming back to the whole Hamlet thing, so dramatic as a person, and in that moment, it's all there, right on the surface. Like I think he goes on this like massive monologue about how, you know, he saw these, he was trying to help them, and he saw these lovers, and they're like, "No, that's not what you did."
Yeah.
And it's just so silly. And then another one, I've literally just Googled it, I don't remember off by heart, but it's so funny. And it's the episode of the ski lodge.
Possibly the best episode. It's certainly up there.
Truly. Also, I love the radio play.
Nightmare Inn. Yes.
Just
so stupid.
So stupid. But yeah, we're in the ski lodge, and the setup is we're up at the ski lodge. I think they've won a trip, I think, and they're going to get some ski lessons off this ski instructor called Guy. There's Niles, there's Frasier, and Marty. Marty's he can't hear anything, his ears haven't popped yet. Daphne's brought her very sexy and very game friend, and basically everyone fancies everyone, and they keep going into each other's rooms, but then like obviously like Niles doesn't want Daphne. It's a whole thing. It's just calamity. And at the end, it becomes clear that so and so was after that person was after that person, that person was after that person. And Frasier is always topless. Which I find
he is. Yeah.
He's shirtless a lot, and he's shirtless, and he says, "Let me get this straight. All the lust coursing through this lodge tonight, all the hormones virtually ricocheting off the walls, and no one was chasing me."
So funny. You're completely right.
That is the culmination of Frasier as like a romantic proposition, because he doesn't care who was chasing after him. He just wanted someone so he could bed that one person.
Exactly. Like, he thinks he is the dog's bollocks. Like, he truly does.
He really does. He really does. And then the sting at the end is that the Daphne's friend does go in to Frasier's room to be like, yeah, let's have it off. But he's not there. He's gone and like got himself a snack from the kitchen, so he misses her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, Frasier, get it
Frasier.
together.
Yeah, you've got to be vigilant if you want a nighttime visitor. You simply must.
Oh my god, it's such a great show. I mean, I genuinely might go and start rewatching it again after this conversation.
I'm quite pumped. Yeah, I might do this.
I'm so pumped. I'm like, this is like it's a banger. It's a banger. Right, Bethan, is there anything else that you wanted to mention with Frasier?
Well, there was one episode I thought it might be worth mentioning. I don't want to like mess up the structure of the podcast.
No, this is very casual.
There is an episode in season 11 called Frasier Light, which is an episode which seems to be a thing in American, at least in American sitcoms. Maybe it's a thing that really happens in American companies. I don't know, but because it happens in The Office where they have like a competition to lose weight.
Yes, I know the episode. Yes.
And so there was like between different radio stations in Seattle. There was a competition to who can lose the most weight as a team of people.
Yes,
and so that involves all the KACL staff, including Kenny, who is the one fat character in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And broadly, I would say like he's not treated any differently to any of the other people who would like they're all starving themselves, which is icky. And there's the whole thing about Roz is because they can win like a trip to Vegas, and Roz really wants to win. She's convinced Noel, who is like infatuated with her, who has like a health condition where he like faints if he doesn't eat enough.
Yeah.
Like, because he's so convinced that he's going to go to Las Vegas with Roz, who is flirting with him in order to get the trip to Las Vegas.
Yes.
He keeps fainting and all this awful stuff. Poor guy. Basically, Kenny isn't really treated any differently than the others. There is the one slightly sus thing that happens is that, and again, this is such a crazy season 11 type episode because like the thing that I'm about to describe is mental. But basically, there's a dead pigeon in a box that Eddie the dog has like savage, so it's like half a dead pigeon.
Yes.
And then so they're all kind of like bunkered in Frasier's apartment on the night before this big weigh-in that they're going to do.
Yes.
And so they're trying to help each other, like avoid temptation, basically. And then Kenny goes to get some water, and there's like a bowl of seeds in the living room, and he just like takes a handful of seeds and then goes and gets his water. So he's eating these seeds, and then Frasier goes out to sort of check that he's not, eating something that he shouldn't be eating, and he sees the box, and he looks in the box, and he finds a half-eaten pigeon, and then he sees Kenny coming out the kitchen clearly eating something, and Frasier jumps to the conclusion that Kenny has eaten half a pigeon, which I guess it's a little sus that it's the one fat character that this happens to, but also I think it's so fantastical, and it's really at no point is like Kenny's weight mentioned, or like is he characterized as like lacking willpower or anything like that. Like they're all being horrible to each other because they're all really cranky because they haven't had any food.
Funny that, yeah.
And like Kenny's not treated as if he, or there's no one going like, oh, that's great because Kenny weighs loads, so he can lose more, and that will really help us out even.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that was the one episode where I was like, I think you could view it as a little sus that it's Kenny that happens to, but equally, Tom McGowan, the guy who plays Kenny, is just he does a very funny facial expression, and he's like when they're looking at each other, and he's like, oh, he's seen me eating seeds, and Frasier's like, he's eaten a pigeon, and the look of horror that they both have for each other with two different interpretations of what's gone wrong is very funny. So I like to think that they just gave it because they knew that.
No, I totally agree. You mentioned The Office because they did the exact same premise, and in comparison to The Office, which is maybe that episode is about 3 years after this one, they are horrendous to their fat characters. Like Dwight literally goes in no particular order, Phyllis, Stanley, and Kevin all have to get weight loss surgery. So yeah, like they play in to the fact that they have fat characters who could quote unquote lose a lot of weight to get them the win, whereas you're right, in Frasier they don't do that. I mean, I don't love the episode premise at all because again it's very similar to the whole Maris thing where they're using disordered eating as a joke. But to give the show grace, this is also taking place in 2004. Like it's not that we didn't know any better, because we've always known this isn't good. It's whether people cared and whether people understood that that representation is harmful to viewers.
Yeah.
Because, you mentioned like, oh, does this happen in real life? I think it does happen in the States, but I have been, I've worked, because I have a very corporate job, I've worked in corporations where they do like Biggest Loser competitions.
Grim. Okay.
Yeah. So like, you sign up to it. It's like a willing contest, but yeah, every Monday you were meant to go around to this one colleague who was organizing it, and they would weigh you in, and they were tracking your weight, and I guess whoever was the biggest loser, quote unquote, I think you had to pay an entry fee, so you got like the prize pot at the end. Yeah, and that's like all like, all very visible to the companies, all in internal email. It's on the fucking intranet. So it might not be like sponsored by, I'm gonna like name and shame, Nationwide. It's not sponsored by Nationwide, but they knew it was happening. Like, it is sanctioned by them. Yeah, so I think like that is a very relatively common corporate culture thing. But yes, definitely in Frasier and The Office, they reuse that premise. Just, maybe workplaces shouldn't give that much of a shit about what you weigh. I don't know.
Crazy concept, eh?
I mean, I don't know. I'm a crazy gal with some crazy ideas.
Crazy, just top of the dome stuff,
Anyway. No, very, very good show. I completely forgot about that episode. Probably because it is season 11.
Yeah, it's like, at that point, you're like, oh, there are some episodes I know so well, and then there'll be an episode like, oh yeah, Anne, as you say, like, there was an Anne episode. I remember Anne. Like,
yeah. Do you think the show ever jumps the shark?
A bit. I think it does when Daphne and Niles get together. They're like, the general quality goes down. I would say it definitely doesn't go down as much as some other shows. Like, I'll say The Office. Yeah. Like,
yeah, The Office is a really
The Office does. Like, once Michael leaves, it's not to say that there's nothing good in there, particularly in the last season, I think, because they can move the characters on a bit more. I think there is some decent stuff. But yeah, I don't think Frasier jumps the shark as much as like the famous jumping of the shark or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree. I don't think is as obvious or blatant. But like you mentioned, the ideas do get more fantastical, does ask you to suspend your belief a little bit more. But like, I always think like Modern Family, I think really, again, I think Modern Family ran for the same amount of time. I think it's like 11 years. And there's a point in that show where like it really does drop off, and you're like, how are you still limping along? And I know that's what people call the Office, but The Office is around for 9 years, and 2 of those are without Michael.
Yeah.
Modern Family never loses any of its main cast and still loses its momentum. Like, it is a feat that Frasier was able to kind of keep it together. And I think as well, what potentially benefits Frasier, in my opinion, is as talking as someone who we both haven't seen Cheers, you didn't have to see Cheers to watch this. When those Cheers characters come in, like the Woody Harrelson, like the Ted Danson, I really hate those episodes because
I didn't enjoy them.
It's asking for all this like context of who these people are. I'm like, I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, I think and it's remarkable because, like, as you say, you don't need to watch Cheers to get Frasier at all. But if you have watched Cheers, it's remarkable that they managed to get so much, because basically Kelsey Grammer played the same character from like about 1985 for basically almost 20 years.
And they got no idea what it's like to play a character for 20 years.
Exactly. It is remarkable how well he did to keep that character feeling fresh. And yeah, and I think a part of that is that they did make some changes from the Cheers character. It's my understanding, I might be wrong about this, but that like in Cheers, Frasier has a bit of an alcohol problem at one point after Diane leaves him, and that's I think that's part of the reason why he's brought in,
because he's at the bar all the time.
Well, yeah, he's at the bar at the time, and like he's kind of brought in to help Sam with an alcohol problem. So like that is
is that his thing?
I think so. I might have made
he was a sex addict.
Or maybe it's a different addiction thing. I'm not sure.
Or maybe it's a different addiction. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah. So like that's never brought up in Frasier again. Like that's never brought into the Frasier character. So they sort of jettison all that baggage, and maybe that's part of why Frasier ran for 11 years and it still felt fresh, even though he'd already been a character for like 8 years prior to that. But yeah, I think they do a remarkable job of keeping it all, possibly because it's a very classic kind of comedy where it's like lots of physical comedy. It's a farce, it's all about the tight plotting and the silly line deliveries and all that, and partly because you're invested in the characters.
Yeah. Have you seen the reboot?
I have seen a bit of the reboot, and I could not really bring myself to Like it certainly wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I couldn't really bring myself to carry on with it because it just felt so stilted. Like I did weirdly like Nicholas Lyndhurst being in it. I thought that was a fun addition.
It's really random, yeah.
And just like he's in it. I think they were in a Don Quixote together, and then they're just buds now. So they were like Nicholas Lyndhurst.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think this is a sad element to it, but I think they both had some like personal losses of quite like close family members. So I think that really bonded them. But yeah, so Nicholas Lyndhurst is in it as a random British person, as a British stereotype, basically, and it's a bit of fun. But yeah, I didn't particularly gel with it. I don't know. Did you watch any of it?
No, I haven't seen any of it. It just, I'm good, you know.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need to change it. And I think as well when they mentioned that Roz is in it in season 2.
Yeah, so they get a few cameos in it, but they don't have Daphne or Niles. And obviously, sadly, they can't have John Mahoney because John Mahoney's died.
He has passed, yes, unfortunately. Yeah, I think because I knew Niles wasn't going to be in it, I was like, yeah, but that's like part of why Frasier's so good, is that relationship, that core relationship.
Yeah.
It really did turn me off. I also didn't care for Frederick as a character in the original show, because barely a character. God love him.
Are you saying you didn't enjoy the goth storyline?
I mean, I kind of love it, but I hate it.
Yeah,
because I'm like, we all had a goth phase. Go on, Frederick, get it.
I love it. Still in the goth phase,
Never
Never left.
No, I'm good. I don't need to see that personally. But yeah, I know Kelsey Grammer has had his issues, but I read his history. He's had tragedy,
some real
tragedy,
trauma.
Yeah, and I'm not excusing it. It doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it's just oof. And I know he's had substance abuse issues, and I read that he was going through it. I don't know what seasons of Frasier it is, but during seasons of Frasier, and he's incoherent, and as soon as they hit action, he's there, and you're like, that's crazy. I can't imagine what that does to someone's mind.
Yeah, and it does, again, not to bring it back to Friends again, but it brings to mind Matthew Perry and all of his struggles while Friends was on, and obviously they're a very iconic comedic performance in that he pulled off, but it was going through some really awful things at the time, some real personal struggles. Yeah, it's crazy what they were able to achieve.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Yeah, I mean, it's a great show. It's a great show. Okay, is there anything else you wanted to mention about Frasier?
I could go on and on, but I think I've covered my bases. I think.
No, that's cool. Bethan, at the end of a Fat and Film episode, we like to rate the media we've just watched on how well that we think they represent fat bodies and other kind of marginalized body types, and we like to rate them out of ourselves because they're our opinions. So, out of a potential 5 Bethans, what would you give Frasier for fat representation?
I am going to start using 5 Bethans as a way of rating things. Yes, thank you for this gift.
You're welcome.
God, maybe 2. I think that's fair. Because the fat stuff in it is horrible. Even though I love the show obviously, and there are some Kenny. I think is a good character, and as you say, Donnie, there are some good fat characters in there. I think the Daphne stuff and a bunch of the other stuff is just, it's untenable. It's a 2 from me.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. Something we have to say a lot around here is that 5-star film, 5-star TV show, but low in terms of our representation.
100%.
And I agree. I literally had in my head 2 Hannahs, one for Donny and one for Kenny.
Yeah.
So couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. We're so aligned. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Bethan. I feel like you were the perfect guest.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'm so happy we managed to make this work out, and it just couldn't have been better. Can you please let me and the listeners know where they can find more of you and your work?
Yeah, sure. So I am on Twitter and Instagram and Blue Sky, all under at Inkerley, which is Inkerley. Yeah, and in New Scientist magazine every 3 weeks. Go buy it.
Go get it. Print media, yay!
Print media, it's a lovely magazine. The design team, fabulous.
Fabulous, we love them. Thank you so much. And the listeners can find me, Queen Bee Says, on Where am I? I'm on Instagram and TikTok and Threads. Oh, and Letterboxd, if you're on Letterboxd. Okay, Letterboxd. Is it Inkerly at Letterboxd? Perfect, easy. And then they can also find the podcast at Fats on Film on, I think it's just Instagram now. And you can also email me at fatsonfilm@outlook.com. I'm always looking for suggestions of other medias to cover because I don't know everything. You know what I mean? There's TV shows all the time that I've never heard of, and people go, "Hey, do you want to cover this?" And I'm like, "Never heard of it, but I'll add it to the list." So that's very, very helpful, team. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and I will catch you in the next episode. And remember to stay fat. Woo!